Viewers are warned that this video contains themes of murder, racism, pedophilia, devil worship, and suicide. All the information in this video is researched from publicly available sources, and every effort has been made to ensure that it is accurate or that any implicit bias is stated. Any clips used are protected under the YouTube Fair Use policy. The intent of this video is not to glorify the horrific crimes of Nikolas Cruz, but for informational, educational, and documentary purposes only. On February 14th, 2018, a disgruntled former student took an Uber to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, carrying with him a black duffel bag containing an AR-15 and a tactical vest holding 10 firearm magazines. The next 6 minutes were a horrific massacre that killed 17, injured 17, and created immeasurable widespread trauma which continues to reverberate throughout the community to this day. The next 4 years would be a legal process that captivated the nation and ultimately leave a sour taste for all those hoping for justice. This is the case of the Parkland shooting, one of the most disturbing and deadly cases in US history. Welcome to the worst of us. Nikolas Cruz was born September 24th, 1998. His biological mother, Brenda Norm Woodard, put him up for adoption, and his adoptive mother, Lynda Cruz, was in the delivery room when he was born. Lynda was 49 at the time of Nikolas's birth and was a stay-at-home mother. Her husband, Roger, was 61 and owned a successful marketing business. Lynda's friend, Trish Devaney Westerland, would describe how Lynda had always wanted a child, and that when she took Nikolas home, she felt like her family was complete. Shortly after Nikolas's birth, in February of 2000, Brenda would again become pregnant, and Lynda and Roger would also adopt Zachary, Nikolas's biological half-brother. Brenda Norm Woodard was a violent felon, drug addict, and prostitute who abused drugs and alcohol during her pregnancy with Nikolas. Dr. Kenneth Jones would later testify that he had never seen a woman abuse alcohol while pregnant as much as Brenda during Nikolas's prenatal life, and a former partner of Brenda's would describe that she didn't care about harming the baby because she was putting it up for adoption. The earliest reports of strange behavior from Nikolas date back to preschool. Neighbors and teachers described how he would hit and bite other children and didn't socialize. A 3-year-old Nikolas would be diagnosed as developmentally delayed on January 23, 2002, and he would go on to be diagnosed with a string of other conditions and disorders throughout the course of his childhood, including ADHD, autism, depression, and emotional behavioral disability. On August 11, 2004, Roger Cruz died of a heart attack aged 67. Nikolas was 5 at the time and witnessed his adoptive father's death in the family den. It would seem this represented a turning point for the family life in the Cruz household, as Lynda was left alone in her mid-50s with no career and 2 challenging sons. Lynda became paranoid about spending, and so would keep air conditioners on low settings and unplug unused appliances. She padlocked her refrigerator so her sons couldn't eat without permission and kept it poorly stocked so that the neighbors would give her groceries. There would later be conflicting reports about whether Lynda was in fact in financial trouble during this period or just didn't want to spend the wealth that she had. In either case, this home environment would foster bad behavior in Nikolas. When he was only 9, a parent called the police because he had hit her child in the head with a rock, and Nikolas would later describe how he and his brother had tortured animals during this time. There is also a report that Nikolas's dog died after eating a poisonous toad, and he attempted a genocide of every toad in the neighborhood in response. During this time, Lynda is reported to have been scared of Nikolas and overwhelmed by raising the 2 boys. Many people would later testify that while she loved her children, she did not discipline them enough at home. On the 28th of August, 2012, a 13-year-old Nikolas would be suspended from West Glades Middle School for fighting. The disciplinary action would prove ineffective as he would go on to be involved in 26 incidents during the next school year. Nikolas's 8th grade teacher at West Glades would describe him as a danger to the students and faculty and reported how he regularly defaced his homework assignments with obscenities, homophobic slurs, swastikas, and drawings of stick figures committing violent or sexual acts. On January 15, 2013, Lynda Cruz would tell the Broward County Sheriff's Office that her son had anger issues after he assaulted her because she took his Xbox away. Mental health clinicians would be consulted as part of the investigation but would conclude that Nikolas did not need to be held under the Florida Mental Health Act of 1971, which allows a person to be involuntarily detained and examined if they are believed to be having a mental health crisis. The next year, Nikolas would be transferred to Cross Creek School, which is a specialist school for children with emotional or behavioral issues. He would be released 2 years later in 2016 when he entered the 10th grade and was transferred to Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Shortly after Nikolas moved schools, on the 5th of February 2016, the Broward County Sheriff's Office would receive a report from an unnamed neighbor whose son said that Nikolas had posted a photo on Instagram with guns saying that he planned to shoot up the school. The Sheriff's Office forwarded this information to the Stoneman Douglas School Resource Officer, but it is not obvious if any action was taken. Nikolas's mental state would continue to deteriorate throughout 2016. A resource officer at Marjory Stoneman Douglas reported on the 28th of September that Cruz was trying to hurt himself. Mental health clinicians would again be consulted and again decide he was not in crisis. 8 hours after their decision, the sheriff's deputy would be called to his home due to reports of him hurting himself and talking about buying a gun. This prompted the Florida Department of Children and Families to open a case on Nikolas citing medical neglect of his mental health. In a now chilling detail, a note on this report states that Nikolas has desire to buy a gun, but it is unknown what he is buying it for. This case was closed on November 12th with a report describing him as low risk. 2 months later, he would be suspended from school again, this time for an assault. On the 8th of February 2017, Nikolas left Marjory Stoneman Douglas to join a program for students struggling in conventional education. 3 days later, he walked into Sunrise Tactical Supply and purchased the AR-15 he would use in the massacre only a year later. 4 months before the shooting, in September of 2017, a person with the screen name Nikolas Cruz leaves this comment under a YouTube video. The owner of the channel reports this to the FBI, who found nobody with the same name that might be of concern. 3 months before the shooting, on the 1st of November 2017, Lynda Cruz died of pneumonia aged 68, and Nikolas and Zachary were taken in by family friend Roxanne Deschamps. This would be a short-lived arrangement as law enforcement would be called 28 days later. Roxanne made the following call to police where she describes the tension over Nikolas's gun ownership.
And he's going to get his weapon at Dick's, I know that right now. He's been waiting for it, and he knows he's not allowed to bring any guns. So now he's pissed off, so he's going to get the gun. He bought a gun about a week and a half ago, and he gets it today, so that we think that he's going there now. Because that's all he wants is his gun, and that's all he cares about is his gun. And he bought tons of bullets and stuff, and I took it away from him. And I have a bunch of other little guns here. And BB guns, though. But he has real guns that he's going to get now. He also dig in the backyard because he knew he was not allowed to bring it here, and we found that he did a size for the box. So he was going to bury the gun there.
This led to Nikolas leaving the Deschamps home and moving in with his friend J.T. Sneedy and his parents. The sheriff's office would also receive the following tip that Nikolas was collecting weapons and could become a school shooter. This was referred to the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office due to the Cruz brothers' recent relocation, but nothing was done. The Palm Beach Sheriff's Office says it never received word of the threat. 1 month before the shooting, on the 5th of January 2018, the FBI would also receive a tip from a person close to Nikolas Cruz, who was worried about him becoming a school shooter. The caller had concerns about Cruz's gun ownership, erratic behavior, disturbing social media posts, and potential of conducting a school shooting. The agency ignored the warning. 6 days before the shooting, on February 8th, 2018, Nikolas recorded the following video describing what he was planning to do.
Alright, so here's the plan. I'm gonna go take an Uber in the afternoon before 2:40. From there, I'll go onto school campus, walk up the stairs, unload my bags, and get my AR and shoot people down at the main courtyard. I'll wait, and people will die.
3 days before the shooting, he recorded 2 more videos where he details his plan, his reasons, and laughs while talking about people dying.
Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people, with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can do a good done. Location is Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die. Pew, 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 pew. Yeah. Can't wait. Today is the day. The day that it all begins. The day of my massacre shall begin. All the kids in school will in fear and hide. From the wrath of my power, they will know who I am. I am nothing. I am no one. My life is nothing and meaningless. Everything that I hold dear, I let go beyond your half. Every day, I see the world ending another day. I live a lone life, live in seclusion and solitude. I hate everyone and everything. With the power of my AR, you will all know who I am. I had enough of being told what to do and when to do. I had enough of telling me that I'm an idiot and a dumbass. But in real life, you're all the dumbass. You're all stupid and brainwashed by these political government programs. You will all see, you will all know who my name is. My love for you, Angie, will never go away. I hope to see you in the afterlife. On one day or another, you will end and we'll all die.
What follows are the details of Nikolas Cruz's movements on the 14th of February, 2018. The information here is harrowing, so please skip to the next section if you feel this will be upsetting for you. Timestamps are available in the video description. The last class at Marjory Stoneman was due to end at 2:40 p.m., so the gates would already be open when Cruz arrived at the school at 2:19, carrying a black duffel bag containing an AR-15 and tactical vest loaded with 10 firearm magazines. He walked to the bottom of the east stairwell of Building 12, where he removed the high-powered rifle from his bag. As he's preparing his firearm, Christopher McKenna walked out into the east stairwell. He had left his class to go to the bathroom. As McKenna looked directly at Nikolas holding his gun, Nikolas said, "You better get out of here. Something bad is about to happen." McKenna ran off to find a campus monitor. Cruz then entered the first-floor hallway of Building 12 and opened fire at the 4 students present. He wounds Ashley Baez as she is walking away from him. He kills Gina Montalto, who was sat outside classroom 1215 so that she could get more work done. And he kills Martin, Duke Anguiano, and Luke Hoyer, who were walking back to class. He then turned to classroom 1216, where an English class was taking place with approximately 24 students in attendance. He fired through the window in the door, hitting and killing Alexander Schachter as he sat at his desk. Cruz then paused to take the black tactical vest out of his backpack and reload. Once ready, he walked to classroom 1214. He fired into the window in the classroom door in the same way he had at classroom 1216. 1214 was a classroom on Holocaust history with about 30 students in attendance. He shoots and kills Helena Ramsey and Nicholas Dorrit, and wounds Samantha Grady, Samantha Fuentes, Isabel Checker, and Daniela Menescal. The shots from his rifle were so loud that dust had started falling from the ceiling tiles when he started shooting, which caused the fire alarm to start ringing at this point. The cacophony of gunfire, alarm ringing, and screaming of terrified children is a hellish soundtrack that was captured by audio recordings which are haunting and far too graphic to include on YouTube. Cruz returned to room 1216, where he fires again through the already shattered window, killing Alyssa Aladef and Elena Petty, and wounding Justin Colton, William Olson, Genesis Valentine, Keshava Mangapuram, and Alexander Dorrit, the brother of Nicholas Dorrit, who had just been killed in room 1214. It was at this time that Coral Springs Police Department received their first 911 call reporting an active shooter at Marjory Stoneman Douglas.
911, what's your emergency?
Hello, we're at Stoneman Douglas High School, and I think there's a shooter.
Hello? You still there? Talk to me, please.
It was also at this time that armed officer Scot Peterson, who was on site and in uniform, began to run towards Building 12. As Nikolas began to walk west, campus monitor Christopher Hickson comes running through the west side door of the corridor. Nikolas fires at Hickson, who falls to the ground and crawls to an alcove in the hallway for safety. Nikolas passed Gina Montalto, Martin Duke Anguiano, and Luke Hoyer as he continued west, and he fired into them again. He would then proceed to classroom 1213, where a psychology class had been taking place. He fired into 1213 through the glass window in the door, hitting and killing Carmen Schentrup and wounding Madeline Wilford, Samantha Mayer, and Benjamin Wickender. The survivors of room 1213 later described how their teacher Miss Riovan tried to help children to the side of the room where they would be hidden from gunfire. Cruz then continued west. As he walked up the corridor, he passed the wounded Christopher Hickson and fired at him again. As Cruz headed for the west stairwell, Scot Peterson made his first radio transmission from outside Building 12.
We have possible, could be Parkland, because I think we got shots fired. Possible shots fired. 1200 building.
Scot was outside Building 12 for about a minute and a half before he moved 75 feet to a position of increased personal safety near Buildings 7 and 8, where he remained for the next 45 minutes. Gym teacher and campus monitor Aaron Feiss had been alerted to the situation by Christopher McKenna and started running towards Building 12 to help. It was at this point he would enter through the west door of the building. Feiss rushed into the building to try and shield students from gunfire and was shot twice. He fell at the base of the stairs. Cruz continued to the second floor where he fired into room 1232 and 1234 but didn't hit anybody in either room. Felicia Bergen would later describe how the students on the second floor had a chance to hide before he got there. He reached the east end of the second floor and began to move up to the third. The students and teachers on the third floor had left their classrooms when the fire alarm started to ring but began to rush back when they heard shots ringing on the second floor. So as Cruz enters the third floor and opens fire, there are people rushing into classrooms all down the hallway. He shot at Scott Beagle. A teacher stood outside room 1256 holding the door open so the children could take cover. He fell in the entrance of his classroom. Kelsey Friend, a student on the third floor, would later describe how Scott holding the door open had saved her life. Stacy Lipple, a teacher who was hustling students into her classroom for safety, was wounded by the gunfire as she closed the classroom door. Two students, Kara Loughran and Meadow Pollock, were shot in front of classroom 1249 and crawled into the alcove of the classroom for safety. And Kyle Lehman, Marian Kabachenko, Anthony Borges, and Joaquin Oliver were all wounded by the gunfire. Cruz stopped to reload as students ran down the hallway away from him. He shot again, killing Jamie Gutenberg and Peter Wong. As he passed Kara and Meadow huddled outside classroom 1249, he fired into them again. He found a wounded Joaquin Oliver outside 1247 and fired into him again. He found Peter Wong in front of the west stairwell door and fired into him again. Peter Wong was shot 13 times. Cruz entered the teacher's lounge, firing through the door, and then fired shots out the west windows, hoping to set up a sniper's nest to hit people as they fled the premises. Nobody was hit by his shots. He exited the teacher's lounge, passing the bodies of Peter Wong and Jamie Gutenberg as he entered the third floor stairwell. He dropped his rifle and backpack and ran down the stairs. Cruz left via the west stairway door, concealing himself among the hundreds of people fleeing the building. Once he is off the school premises, he went to a Walmart and bought a drink at a Subway. He then headed to McDonald's where he sat down at 15:01. At the McDonald's, he bumped into John Wilford, the brother of Madeline Wilford who he had injured in the shooting only 37 minutes earlier. John did not know that Cruz was the shooter and would later describe how Nikolas had pestered him for a ride but ultimately left alone after John repeatedly refused him. Cruz walked to Wyndham Lakes, where he was spotted by Michael Leonard of the Coconut Creek Police Department and arrested at approximately 3:40 p.m.
What's going on? What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices? What the f***? Where the f*** am I? Holy shit. What happened?
Shut up.
Just be quiet, man.
Shut up.
Police and SWAT team members would swarm the campus and begin clearing students from the school. Parents and ambulances also converged on the scene as students were escorted off the premises by armed officers. Medical examiners at the school would find 15 deceased, with another 2 dying of their wounds in hospital the same day. The full list of victims is as follows. 14-year-old student Alyssa Alhadef, remembered by her family as an outspoken young lady, an excellent student and a gifted writer, who was captain of the soccer team. 35-year-old teacher Scott Beagle, a beloved geography teacher and cross-country coach, remembered as a hero who died trying to protect his students. 14-year-old student Martin Duke Anguiano, remembered by his family as an avid football fan, a good student, and devout churchgoer. 17-year-old student Nicholas Dorrit, who was an accomplished swimmer and had a bright future having accepted an athletic scholarship to the University of Indianapolis. 37-year-old assistant football coach Aaron Feiss, remembered as a beloved teacher who died a hero, rushing into Building 12 to shield students from gunfire. 14-year-old student Jamie Gutenberg, who was a performing dancer with aspirations of becoming a therapist and mother. She is said to have always stood up for people being bullied. 49-year-old athletic director Christopher Hickson, a Navy veteran who was described as a father figure by MSD alumni. He died a hero, rushing to confront Nikolas and save his students. 15-year-old student Luke Hoyer, remembered as a loving, sweet person with a passion for basketball, who smiled all the time. He was known for his wry sense of humor, with friends referring to him as the king of the one-word answer. 14-year-old student Kara Loughran, described by her family as an excellent student who loved the beach and had a passion for Irish dancing and gymnastics. 14-year-old student Gina Montalto, described as the sweetest soul ever by a winter color guard team instructor and remembered by her family as a wonderful person with an artistic spirit and cheerful giving nature. 17-year-old student Joaquin Oliver, remembered as a hard worker who loved to make people smile. His father had taken him to buy flowers for his girlfriend the night before the massacre and asked Joaquin to call to say how it went when he gave them to her. Joaquin would never get to make the call. 14-year-old student Elena Petty, described as a smart, confident girl who shined with integrity and spent countless hours volunteering through her church. She had been helping Florida families to recover from Hurricane Irma a few months before the shooting. 18-year-old student Meadow Pollock, an aspiring lawyer with an outgoing personality and an old soul with an understanding of the world far beyond her years. She is remembered as a hero who died trying to shield a younger student with her body. 12-year-old student Helena Ramsey, described by her family as a brave, beautiful, and selfless person. She died a hero, trying to protect a friend from gunfire. 14-year-old student Alexander Schachter, a talented trombone player who loved video games, chocolate chip cookies, and smoothies. His mother tragically died when Alex was only 4, and Alex would be buried in the same cemetery after his death. 16-year-old student Carmen Schentrup, a National Merit Scholarship semi-finalist with aspirations of becoming a medical researcher and finding a cure for ALS. Her parents describe her as a person that was going to change the world. And finally, 15-year-old student Peter Wong, who died a hero trying to usher other students to safety. He had dreams of attending the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, New York, and was granted posthumous admission on the 20th of February 2018 for his heroic actions during the shooting. After his arrest, Nikolas Cruz was interrogated by police in the later hours of February 14, 2018. This footage was later released by police, and it is very hard to watch it now and not see a sane person doing their best impression of an insane person. Before the officer enters the room, Cruz can be seen making shooting motions at himself and punching himself in the face. During the interrogation, Cruz claimed he heard a demonic voice that made him do the things he had done. The officer gave significant pushback on this, tying him in logical knots over the demon's existence.
And you're talking about demons. What are the demons?
The voices.
Well, tell me about it. What are the voices about?
It's another voice, the evil side.
Okay. How long has that voice been going on?
Years.
Okay. When did it start, you think? When your mom passed?
It started getting worse when my mom passed.
Okay. Did it start how many years before your mom passed, do you think?
When my father died.
Okay. Did you ever tell anybody about the voice? Never? And what does the voice say to you? Well, what does it tell you to do?
Burn, kill, destroy.
Okay. Burn, kill, destroy what?
Anything. Yeah.
How many times has the voice talked to you while we've been in the room here together?
A lot.
Has the voice said jump out of the chair and do anything bad to that policeman?
Saying kill yourself now.
I don't really believe there is a voice, to be honest with you.
Voice.
No, I don't think there is.
I'm telling you the truth. There is.
No. I mean, I feel you probably want to kill yourself because of what happened, but...
No, the voice is telling me to kill myself.
Okay, but the voice is telling you that the AR-15s is... You like guns, man. All right. Well, you want me? I'll leave you to think for a while, and then I'll come back and talk to you. I personally, I think you're using the demon as an excuse.
I'm not. I promise.
You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for marijuana. You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for Xanax. You could have stopped the demon by illegally doing marijuana, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon by doing Xanax illegally, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon anytime you want. You didn't want to stop the demon.
No, that's not true.
You didn't. You could have. I've given you 4 ways you could have stopped the demon, man. Okay, now you know you're just acting like that because... No. Okay, well, relax. You're just acting like that because I'm making sense. Calm down. I'm making sense, and you don't like when it makes sense.
No.
Because it doesn't fit into the story you're telling right now.
No, I'm telling you the story. It's just true. It's just,
well, why are you looking at your arm now?
I'm trying to understand why...
Well, why didn't you want to stop the demon?
I don't know.
Because I think you like the demon.
No, I don't.
Why didn't you stop it then?
I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon.
Well, that's if the demon even exists.
Can I get an attorney or something?
You want what? An attorney?
Yeah.
Did the demon or the voice just tell you to get an attorney? Okay. All right. Well, you tell the voice that don't hit yourself in the head because the attorney, the demon just requested I will stop talking to you.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
You're scared of what?
I'm scared of what? Why the fuck wouldn't he protect me?
What?
Why wouldn't he protect me, man?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he protect me?
All right. Well, again, your demon wants an attorney. Does the demon know an attorney? Any name in particular? Okay. All right. Well, just relax. You're done talking to me. All right?
Zachary Cruz was also allowed in the room to see his brother once the interrogation was finished.
What do you think Mom would think right now? She would cry. She would cry. People think you're a monster now. A monster? You don't have anything. You're not acting like yourself. Like, I know what you did today. Other people look at me like I'm crazy for even. And I don't care what other people think. Like, you're my brother. I love you. I want you to. You really messed up this time. Like, at a point where like it's not even like a joke. It's not. No one can get you out of this, dog. Like. I'll have another conversation with you another time, alright?
In the days and months following the shooting, the story would become widespread news. By the time of Cruz's arraignment hearing on 14th of March 2018, there would be disturbing reports of him receiving fan mail and donations into his commissary accounts from crazed young women and older men around the country. Broward County Public Defender Howard Finkelstein described how officers read Cruz a few religious ones that extended wishes for his soul and to come to God, but have not and will not read him the fan letters or share photos of scantily clad teenage girls. Finkelstein shared worries that every day boys and girls are starting to view him in an elevated way, looking up to his fame and notoriety. There was also a now-deleted Facebook page set up with the name Nikolas Cruz, the first victim, where members used the hashtag #StopBullyingOurBoy and NickFam. This type of infatuation and sympathy for a killer is known as hybristophilia, and it is not a new phenomenon, with notorious serial rapist murderer Ted Bundy famously receiving hundreds of love letters from women while he was incarcerated. In this case, however, it is important to note people's characterization of Nikolas as a misunderstood victim so soon after the shooting, as this would eventually go on to play a major role in the defense's narrative during his trial. 2019 would tragically claim another victim of the Parkland shooting, with 19-year-old Sydney Aiello taking her own life by suicide, bringing the total number of victims to 18. Sydney is described as a beautiful girl with such a bright future who enjoyed cheerleading, yoga, and brightening up the days of others. She had attended MSD at the time of the shooting and was close friends with Meadow Pollock. Her mother, Kara, described how her daughter suffered from survivor's guilt following the death of her friend and had been diagnosed with PTSD shortly before her death. Another MSD student and survivor, 16-year-old Calvin Dazier, also took his own life around this time, but it is unclear if this was motivated by the shooting. After the suicides, Parkland Mayor Christine Hunchovsky described how the community was still reeling from the shooting. We have these documentary film people coming in saying, "Oh, the community is coming together," and kind of putting a beautiful bow on it, and there's a lot of good going on in our community, but we cannot ignore what else is happening. In the same year, Scot Peterson, the officer at Marjory Stoneman Douglas on the 14th of February 2018, would be arrested on charges of child neglect and culpable negligence in relation to his conduct during the shooting. 2 years later, on October 20th, 2021, Nikolas Cruz appeared in court to plead guilty to 17 counts of premeditated murder and 17 counts of attempted murder. Judge Elizabeth Shearer read each charge aloud, along with the name of each victim, to ask how he wanted to plead. Cruz responded guilty 34 times. He also asked to address the court, giving a bizarre speech where he apologized for the shooting.
Is there anything else that either side wishes to add to the record or present at this time?
I believe Mr. Cruz wanted to make a statement to the court and to the victims present in the courtroom.
Okay.
May I take off my mask?
Sure.
I am very sorry for what I did, and I have to live with it every day. And that if I were to get a second chance, I will do everything in my power to try to help others. And I am doing this for you, and I do not care if you do not believe me. And I love you, and I know you don't believe me, but I have to live with this every day. And it brings me nightmares, and I can't live with myself sometimes, but I try to push through because I know that's what you guys would want me to do. I hate drugs, and I believe this country would do better if everyone would stop smoking marijuana and doing all these drugs and causing racism and violence out in the streets. I'm sorry, and I can't even watch TV anymore. And I'm trying my best to maintain my composure, and I just want you to know I'm really sorry. And I hope you give me a chance to try to help others. If I believe it's your decision to decide where I go and whether I live or die. Not the jury's. I believe it's your decision. I'm sorry.
From March 1st through 3rd of 2022, Cruz was interviewed by psychiatrist Dr. Charles Scot, and this footage was later released by the state. This interview is interesting because he presents a completely different demeanor to the day of his arrest, looking calm and talking openly about the murders and enthusiastically about guns. He even claims that any nasty remarks he made about race had only been made for attention.
Any time where someone might have thought you were carving like a swastika on a table or something like that?
My friends told me to do that, and they did it as well. And I did that for attention. And anything that I proved swastika or said nasty remarks about the race or gender equality or anything like that, it was all for attention.
Okay.
And that magazine, I'm sure you know about it. I had a magazine with a swastika on it for my AR.
Yeah.
I didn't write that at all.
Where'd that come from?
Jameson Todd asked me if he wanted to draw a swastika on it. And so I said, sure.
Okay, so
I didn't think any of it.
So he drew the swastika on the magazine?
Yeah. We were just chilling out. He said, it's cool if I draw a swastika on your mag. I said, sure.
Okay. And was that magazine used on the day of the offense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cruz told Dr. Scot about practicing for the shooting in the backyard of the Sneedy's house and how he had thought about showing mercy to some of the victims, but they had given him a nasty look.
And again, I think I asked you this yesterday, but
I think I showed mercy to the three girls. To be honest with you, I was going to walk away, but they started to show nasty faces and I went back or something.
Explain to me how you showed them mercy.
I was like thinking about shooting them, but I didn't want to do it. So I was going to walk down the hallway.
And did you end up shooting them?
Yeah, because they gave me a nasty look and they were about to run.
Okay, what do you mean they gave you a nasty look?
Like, that.
And so you were going to give them mercy?
I thought they were going to attack me or something.
Okay, you were going to give them mercy, but then they gave you the nasty look?
And they were going to run away. Okay. Two of them were going to run away, one nasty look.
Dr. Scot would later testify in court that Cruz's actions were calculated and premeditated, that he had faked psychotic symptoms and was of sound mind during the massacre. In July of 2022, the Parkland shooting trial would begin to play out. Given his guilty plea a year prior, this trial was simply to determine life or death for Nikolas Cruz. The prosecution would begin by thoroughly painting the scene of 14th of February 2018, calling survivors to the stand to talk through their individual experience of the shooting in grueling detail and describe how it affects them to this day. Audio recordings of the massacre were played in court, and even Nikolas can be seen sticking his fingers in his ears to block them out. The prosecution would call 91 witnesses over the first 12 days of the trial, which is too many to cover individually in this video, but a link to the full list of all these statements is provided in the description. One by one, injured students, survivors, and families of victims bravely took the stand to share the truth of their trauma and suffering due to Cruz's actions. When Alyssa's father, Dr. Ilan Al-Hadef, took the stand, the court could feel his despair and anger during his statement about losing his daughter.
I wanted to tell this jury what happened to my family and this community. I wanted to tell you what happened to my Alyssa. On February 14th, 2018, my 14-year-old daughter was right where she was supposed to be, in her high school English class. 4 years later, she's supposed to have been in her second year of college. Soon she'd go on to be a professional soccer player. She'd get her law degree and maybe become one of the most successful business negotiation lawyers the world would see. She was supposed to get married, and I was going to have my father-daughter dance. She would have had a beautiful family, 4 kids, live in a gorgeous house, a beach house on the side. All those plans came to an end with Alyssa's murder. Alyssa's murder impacted so many people in so many ways. After Alyssa's death, my father was never the same. He passed away a year later. My elderly mother, Alyssa, lost her granddaughter. My elderly mother, she lost her granddaughter and struggles to find happiness in her life. Then there's my father-in-law, who always said Alyssa could do no wrong. They had a very special bond, one that you love to see between grandparents and grandchildren. But this was broken only by Alyssa's murder. I get to watch my friends, my neighbors, colleagues spending time enjoying their daughters, enjoying all the normal milestones, taking in the joys, and I can only watch videos or go to the cemetery to see my daughter. It was 4 years ago to everyone, but to me it was yesterday. Alyssa will always be 14, and I will always be at the point in life with her. All I know is a piece of my heart was not just cut out, but it was ripped out of my damn chest. For 4 years, I've watched so many struggle. Well, the only option I've had is to keep it together for my family. And inside, I burned like a damn inferno. It took me so long to be able to feel empathy again, and this prevented me from doing what I'm good at, which is caring for patients. Unfortunately, I have to live my life with anger now and make it fuel my existence. Like my wife, I try and stay busy so I don't break down. While the world gets to move on with their lives, we don't have that luxury. Missing our daughter every single day. No parent is supposed to have this grief. Without our daughter, Alyssa, our lives have been changed forever.
During Jamie Gutenberg's parents' testimony about the loss of their daughter, there was even a moment when Cruz's own lawyer was moved to tears.
I couldn't wait to see her graduate and ultimately become a pediatric physical therapist, working her dream job at the Paley Institute and achieving her dream of helping a child walk for the very first time. Most of all, Jamie imagined she would be married by 25. I used to think every day about that moment and walking my daughter down the aisle and becoming a grandparent to the 2 kids that she had already decided she was going to have. And now I ask, what if? What if Jamie wasn't murdered? What would these moments have ended up being like? My relationship with Jamie is now through photos and memories of what was and imagining what could have been. I am happy and smile for all the other kids her age who are living the same life experiences that I expected for Jamie, but I cry over this at the same time. The truth is, not a day goes by where the constant image of Jamie walking down the aisle is not still a part of my daily imagination.
One of the most poignant moments of the trial would come when Christopher Hickson's son, Corey, took the stand to talk about the loss of his father.
Good afternoon. Mr. Hickson, is your father Mr. Christopher Hickson?
Yeah.
And is there something that you'd like to tell the jury about your dad?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's okay. I missed him.
Is there something about donuts that you want to tell us?
What was your favorite thing to do with Daddy? Yeah.
Tell him. You can tell us.
Every Saturday we went to Denny Donuts and walked back.
Okay. Thank you very much.
The prosecution would also paint a vivid picture of Nikolas's mindset before the massacre, as they tried to dispel the narrative that he was a troubled teen who had been failed by the system rather than a disturbed murderer. Inspection of Cruz's YouTube comments and searches gave the court a sickening glimpse into his mind in the period before the shooting, with violence, racism, and pedophilia being prevalent themes.
So these are YouTube comments that came from the various accounts. The first one is from Nikolas Cruz Macavor at gmail.com on July 4th, 2017 at 12:06:18 UTC. I can't wait to kill black people and rape a girl in 2020. I will try and kill at least 15 people. May I not die in vain. Second one is from the Nikolas Cruz Makarov at gmail.com account, July 11th, 2017 at 11:38:55 p.m. UTC. Again, the full word was used. You ends are nothing but absolute garbage. I wish you black people would just disappear. You're nothing in society. That's why in 2020 you will hear me on the news. I will kill as many black people as I can, and I will make sure I kill a lot. I will wear body armor, and I will be heavily armed. No mercy, no forgiveness, no regret. I will kill you ends. Again, the full word was used. Nikolas Jacob Cruz at gmail.com is for this account, October 21st, 2017 at 11:33:50 UTC. Women are evil. They can take care of themselves. They're less important than a dog. Also from Nikolas Jacob Cruz at gmail.com, September 29th, 2017 at 13 minutes past midnight, 45 seconds UTC.
You could just use the initial on this one too, please.
Searched for little girl peas. From the Nikolas Jacob Cruz at gmail.com on September 17th, 2017 at 10:01:32 UTC. You people should blame yourself, LOL. We kill animals every day. I'm glad animals die. It makes me happy. Smiley face.
In this same vein, to show that he had shown no signs of improved mindset since the shooting, the court heard from an officer of the jail where Cruz was being held to testify about the findings of a cell inspection on May 8th of 2022. Cruz had written 666 in blood on the wall of his cell and scribbled notes about his love for Lucifer, instructions for the next school shooter, and drawings of school shootings and guns. These notes were read out to the court as part of the officer's testimony.
All right, the beginning is to the name, to Elon, Shada, Nancy, I apologize. That's what he looks like. Oh, Elaine, I do so fucking hate you. I hope you fucking die a hellish death. You motherfucker. You fucking sexually humiliated me on fucking Instagram, you punk-ass pussy. I want you to fucking know I won't find you. I won't find a way to fucking kill you. I even hire people to do the fucking job if I know where you live, I know how you operate, and I will attack you and you fucking sleep when I'm dead. I can't read this, I don't know. I curse you and your worthless family. You're the main fucking reason why I shot up Stoneman Douglas. The blood is not only on my hands, but yours as well. You're nothing but a worthless. I can't read that. You fucking manhole. And then after that, there's a drawing of he's saying me shooting something, me and you, and that's everything on the down. The top is the next school shooter, whoever there is, whoever there is, and then after that, he's showing some Glock 21 9mm, 20 mags, 12 round. Then his account 20, 140, 340 round. And then there's drawings. How a drawing, I guess, is going in the classroom. I guess killing the teacher first. You look like a teacher. Yeah, teacher. Teacher conceal carry. That's what he's writing. So I guess he's shooting the teacher first. And then the drawing underneath is him shooting the classroom. 6+6 or 12, 666. And then underneath there is, oh shit, he's fucking crazy. Yeah, he's a kid. I guess he's a kid, and he's a drawing of the. I apologize. A drawing on the ground, and whoever's on the ground is stating, "Oh shit, he's fucking crazy. He's fucking crazy."
The prosecution would also call numerous mental health professionals who would all describe Cruz as being of sound mind and exaggerating his mental health issues. Amongst these was psychologist Dr. Michael Brannon, who testified that during a May 2019 interview, Cruz had described the voices he was hearing and his occult beliefs. Dr. Brannon was insistent that Nikolas was not psychotic.
What I took from this, honestly, is this is a fantasy. He's uncomfortable with where he's at. He's uncomfortable with being locked down and being in jail. This is somebody who absolutely, 110%, has no capacity or understanding for how to deal with any negative affect, particularly anger. So he's fantasizing about shooting the guard with a radio. Honestly, he wasn't psychotic, and I took it as kind of nonsense, just like this wish fulfillment or frustration.
The jury would also walk through the halls of Marjory Stoneman Douglas, which had been preserved following the shooting. Judge Elizabeth Shearer would later describe this experience in a 2024 tell-all.
You know what? The jurors were very professional and diligent. They were observing everything that they could take in. You could tell they were concentrating. They were really trying to just take it all in and pay attention to the details. And there was no emotional outbreaks or anything like that. It was just very, very professional and very dutiful, if you will. They did their job as far as looking at everything and taking everything very seriously. And of course, I'm not sure if you know this, but they're not allowed to ask questions or interact with the court or the lawyers during the walkthrough. So we just all sort of stood by and observed them. But it was very serious and strategic. We walked floor by floor, and they just observed everything very quietly. Some of them took notes, some of them didn't.
The defense focused on Nikolas's troubled upbringing, playing into the narrative that he was a victim who had never had a chance in life and was failed by the system. Witnesses were called who testified to Cruz's prenatal life, saying that he was poisoned in the womb by his biological mother's alcoholism during her pregnancy, and how his adoptive mother wasn't equipped to raise him. The defense did not try to rebut Cruz's actions, but blamed them on his mental health and circumstances. The conduct of the defense lawyers was highly criticized, as there were several unprofessional incidents throughout the trial. In one instance, Judge Elizabeth Shearer knocked back the defense's demand for a mistrial because someone in the gallery had yelled, "Turn it off," when a recording was played of the shooting.
Based on the foregoing reasons, the defense moves for a mistrial as the prejudice to Mr. Cruz by what happened in this courtroom in front of the jury would render this court to provide Mr. Cruz with the ability to have a fair and impartial trial. This is upon consultation with our client, and he's in agreement.
Okay, first of all, my desk is elevated, and I could not see who was speaking, because the person is in at least the 6th or 7th row, which I would say is at least 150 feet from the bench. That's number one. Number two, I couldn't hear what the person said. In the abundance of caution, I asked the white noise be put on. But somebody shouting one thing when you don't see them or you can't hear exactly what they're saying,
is not even close to grounds for a mistrial. The jurors, I don't even think any of them looked.
Assistant Public Defender Tamara Curtis was also infamously caught flipping the middle finger when she didn't realize the cameras were rolling. She was later investigated by the Florida bar and fined by the state for her conduct. The trial went on for 3 months, and the jury announcing their verdict on the 13th of October, 2022. Florida law at the time required that the jury reach a unanimous verdict to give the death penalty, and 3 of the 12 jurors voted to spare Cruz's life. The jury foreman, Benjamin Thomas, told CBS Miami that one juror had strongly believed Cruz should not be sentenced to death because he was mentally ill, and 2 others also voted to spare him. This decision was disappointing, and a bitter blow for the survivors and victims' families, who had been hoping the conclusion would be death for the monster who murdered their loved ones.
Coming in here today, we thought we were going to get justice. We thought that finally the Parkland murderer was going to be held accountable for his actions.
We came here today, and it wasn't even a doubt in my mind that this would be the death penalty. I'm beyond disgusted of what happened, what occurred, and again, what is the death penalty for, if not for the murder and killing of 17 people?
What were you thinking? This isn't about your personal beliefs. It's not about your religious values. It's about the heinous crime that was committed. There is no recovery. Jail's about rehabbing someone. There is no rehabbing.
Pressing the barrel of his weapon to my daughter's chest. That doesn't outweigh that poor little, what's his name, had a tough upbringing. This jury failed our families today. But I will tell you, the monster's going to go to prison, and in prison, I hope and pray he receives the kind of mercy from prisoners that he showed to my daughter and the 16 others.
On the 1st and 2nd of November 2022, Nikolas Cruz would appear in court for his sentencing, and victims, friends, and family would get a chance to give statements addressing him and his defense. Alyssa Aladef's grandmother and grandfather used their statements to address Nikolas directly.
I'm too old to see you live out your life sentence, but I hope your ever-breathing moment here on earth is miserable, and you repent for your sins, Nikolas, and burn in hell.
There's going to come a day. It could be a week from now. It could be a month from now. It could be 40 years from now. You're going to die. When you die, it is my fondest hope that they take you and and burn you and take your ashes and throw them in the garbage dump. You know why? Because garbage to garbage. And at that time, Parkland murderer, it is my hope that you go somewhere to meet your maker of whatever it is. And Parkland murderer, I hope your maker sends you directly to hell to burn for the rest of your eternity.
Megan Petty, Elena's sister, fought back tears while expressing her disgust at the verdict.
But what we've been told here is that 17 lives are worth nothing if you can make enough excuses for your actions. He has gotten everything he's wanted in this case, save 3 more victims, because as he stated, his goal was to take the lives of 20 innocent people. And we are left with nothing and a slap in the face to top it off. Elena was unable to protect herself from his bullets in that classroom, and this court has failed to protect her posthumous rights, her memory, and her family.
Alex Schachter's father, Max, would use his statement to admonish the defense team.
You obviously have no conscience. If you don't think that this is the worst of the worst, how could you sit there listening to what he did and say this is not the worst of the worst? He hunted down innocent children and staff, terrified, then tortured them, blew their heads apart like a water balloon, and enjoyed it. That doesn't make it on your worst of the worst murderers list. You make me sick.
The defense were addressed so frequently that they complained to the judge that they were being personally attacked and the impact statements were inappropriate, which resulted in a chaotic courtroom moment.
I've made my decision. Like I said, 99% of what's been testified to has been appropriate. I do not want to highlight the few things that were said that were perhaps not appropriate, and let's move on.
Judge, I'm asking for 20 seconds to ask.
You can have as many seconds as you want in writing, and you can put all of your objections in writing. They've been made multiple times from your chief assistant, from Ms. McNeil, and I don't want to hear anything else. I've already heard it. Is there something that has not already been argued?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, exactly what is it?
Judge, before Mr. Shacker took the podium and testified before this court, I wanted to the record to reflect that both Mr. Marcus and Mr. Satz looked at the statement prior to the reading. And so their implicit adoption of what he was saying, of his improper arguments, the court should chastise.
Okay, but what you are doing right now is highlighting something and making more of a spectacle. So if your office in general does not want to facilitate and or incite violence, then we need to just sit down and move on. That's it. There were 18 witnesses, 16 or 18 witnesses that testified today. There was nothing that was said until Ms. McNeil made her point made, and, you know, we're moving on.
But is the court going to do anything about maybe stopping it from happening again?
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Ms. McNeil, be quiet. When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table, and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Judge, I have no problem because I have thick skin. But once you bring in my children, I think that's highly improper. I didn't
even know you have children. I don't know what you're talking about. Your children? What about your children?
For them to comment on my children is highly improper. Before this court to allow that kind of testimony is also improper.
I don't remember any comments about any children. And if there was, it obviously didn't, it came and went without me noticing it.
Judge, I can assure you that if they were talking about your children, you would definitely notice it.
You need to sit down right now. You're out of line. In fact, you're excused. You need to go sit in the back with your chief public defender.
He's the public defender.
Mr. Weeks, please ask the lawyer from your office to go sit down and not say anything else. To try to threaten my children and bring up my children is inappropriate. Go to the back of the room now. That just violated about every rule of professional responsibility that I have never. If you're going to get up here and you're going to...
Judge, I asked you to go sidebar on this matter.
You, sidebar or not, you don't have one of your assistant public defenders say something about my children?
Judge, that same venom that the court is expressing is the same venom that defense counsel had to sit through this entire morning when their children...
She brought up her children multiple times during the trial. Nobody knows if I'm barren or not. They don't know about my children.
Judge,
sit down. Sit down.
Judge.
Sit down, Mr. Weeks.
Please do not summarily dismiss me.
I'm summarily dismissing you. Go sit down.
I'm asking the court. I asked the court to go sidebar.
Go sit down. You don't threaten the
Judge,
court's children.
Everyone
Your
in this
assistant just
courtroom,
did that. Go sit down.
No one in this courtroom had to endure what we have to endure.
Go sit down. Miss McNeil has made her children a spectacle more than once during this trial. That was her choice. You have absolutely no right to have one of your assistants come up here and suggest something about my children. Now, please go sit down.
Judge.
You're inappropriate and out of line. Go sit down.
Judge, may I have a brief recess?
No. Go sit down.
May I have a brief recess so I can speak to my attorneys?
We're moving on with the sentencing, Mr. Weeks.
So can I have a brief recess?
No.
Thank you.
It's 1:36. Thank you. State, go ahead and call your next witness.
Victoria Gonzalez, the girlfriend who Joaquin Oliver had brought flowers to school for the day that he was murdered, gave a heartbreaking statement about how Joaquin's love had affected her life.
My justice does not lie in knowing if you live or if you die. My justice lives in knowing that I loved, because I experienced a love that a lot of people go their whole lifetimes without experiencing. Joaquin loved me entirely with his whole being, and I choose love. So in the end, I think that I win. I think that I win because I will continue my life honoring something that people believe is a fairy tale. And it's not. This whole thing is so real life. The love that Joaquin gifted me will last my lifetime. It will last many lifetimes. And I'm proud to stand here and say that. And you showed me the importance of love. And that I need to celebrate it. And that I need to preach it. And that I need to wake up every day and make someone smile. So that they don't go through the world feeling like you did or you do. I don't wish that for anyone. And I wish that it didn't bring you to what you did. I wish that you had more love in your heart. And I want to say that. No matter who will hate me for it. I wish that you had love in your heart. I wish that. And on behalf of Joaquin, you may have taken my body, and for that, fuck you, but you cannot take my love. And that is all I have to say.
Scott Beagle's mother, Lynda Schulman, used her statement to describe to Nikolas what his life would be like when the trial was over and he was transferred to a maximum security prison.
I will go forward knowing that you are going to a maximum security prison with other murderers, much tougher than you are. A prison where you will spend the rest of your miserable life having to look over your shoulder, worried about every single minute of your day, of your life, and scared out of your mind, fearful for someone to take you out. A prison where you will be other inmates' boy toy. A prison where your fellow prison inmates are just waiting to tear you apart, because from what I hear, child killers are highly frowned upon and hated in prison. You will look back at the time that you spent in the Broward County Jail and see it as it was a hotel compared to the prison where you are headed.
Andrea Garci, Joaquin's sister, used her statement to address the defense and her disgust at the verdict they had managed to attain.
Had you handled this case with more class and professionalism, we perhaps could have focused our negative feelings solely on the murderer. But professionalism, class, and respect is something only the prosecution seems to be acquainted with. I will repeat your words. Remember, this was a personal moral decision you all made. Like when you decide to marry someone, or when you don't want to marry someone. So look into your heart, look into your soul, and learn to live with the fact that you condoned the slaughter of 17 innocents. But I promise you that one day, I don't know when, you will ask yourself, did I make the right decision?
In a dramatic final statement, Joaquin's father, Manuel, took the stand. Until this point, Manuel had been watching the trial remotely to avoid disturbing proceedings, but since the verdict was in, he was finally able to address his son's killer and the defense.
You shot my kid 4 times. You blew his head. His marvelous brain and ideas and dreams. You destroyed them. You shot him 4 times. You needed an AR-15 to do that, because otherwise Joaquin would have beaten the shit out of you. But you were coward enough. And you can be cowards in this life. Hiding your actions. The middle finger, lady. Apologizing for a middle finger. You need to learn how to do a middle finger. So you don't need to apologize to anyone. Do I feel better now? I don't know. Tomorrow, you guys are going to go back to your perfect lives, enjoying your family. Tomorrow we're going back to our thing, missing our kids. And you are out of the picture. And you will be erased from the picture sooner than later. It's time for you to be afraid of me.
Finally, the judge proceeded to sentence Nikolas, handing down 34 consecutive life sentences for the 17 murders and 17 attempted murders. She read each victim and wounded survivor's name aloud with the charge. The trial of the Parkland shooter concluded disappointingly. In the wake of the verdict, the Florida law requiring a unanimous verdict in death penalty cases was overturned only 6 months later, in April of 2023. Scot Peterson would then face trial for his charges of child neglect and culpable negligence in June of 2023, but was acquitted on all counts in what was reported as an emotional trial that left bitter feelings on both sides. From the ignored warnings in Nikolas's past to the verdict in his trial, it's hard to look at the facts of this case and not feel that the victims were let down by the state. Despite this, friends and families of the deceased have gone on to do remarkable work in their loved ones' names that continue to this day. Alyssa Aladef's mother, Lori, was elected to Broward County School Board to improve campus security, and championed a law passed in 2020 which mandates every school campus in Florida to have mobile panic alarm systems. It is called Alyssa's Alert. Scott Beagle's mother and stepfather, Lynda and Michael Schulman, started the Scott J. Beagle Memorial Fund, which pays for underprivileged children touched by gun violence to attend sleepaway camp. 250 children participated in the summer of 2023. Nicholas Dorrit's parents, Mitch and Annika, set up the Nicholas Dorrit Memorial Fund, which provides college scholarships to swimmers and divers in South Florida in memory of their son's love of swimming. Fred and Jennifer Gutenberg started the Orange Ribbons for Jamie charity in honor of their daughter. The charity provides scholarships to dancers, special needs children, and students who want to go into helping fields like physical therapy. The Chris Hickson Foundation was started by Christopher Hickson's family, which gives 5 annual scholarships to Broward County athletes. Luke Hoyer's parents started the Luke Hoyer Athletic Fund, which pays for foster children to participate in travel league sports and martial arts and dance lessons. Kara Lawfren's family established Kara Dances On to commemorate Kara's love of dancing. The charity provides college scholarships for students at the dance studio where Kara took lessons. The Gina Rose Montalto Memorial Foundation was set up by Gina Montalto's family to offer scholarships to students pursuing the arts and psychology, and members of the Girl Scouts to commemorate their daughter's interests. Joaquin Oliver's family set up the Change the Ref Foundation to challenge the political influence of the NRA and gun manufacturers. His parents travel the country in a modified school bus emblazoned with Stop Gun Violence to confront politicians about the issue directly. Elena Petty's parents, Ryan and Kelly, started the Walk Up Foundation, which has worked with government, law enforcement, and school officials to try and better identify potential shooters. The Meadows Movement Foundation was set up by her father, Andrew, and has provided school police and security officers with backpacks that convert almost instantly into bullet-resistant vests. The foundation also builds playgrounds to honor Meadows' love of exercise and fun. Helena Ramsey's mother converted a section of her garden to a memorial to her daughter. Visitors to Helena's section are greeted by a monument featuring a smiling portrait of her and a dedication to those who died in the shooting. People use the area to do yoga, exercise, read, and relax. Max Schachter quit his job after Alex's death and made promoting school safety his full-time mission. He started Safe Schools for Alex and travels the country learning the best security practices so he can present them to schools, law enforcement, and government officials. The foundation also provides lessons for underprivileged middle school band members in honor of Alex's love of trombone playing. Carmen Shentrup's parents started Carmen's Dream, a fund which focuses on ALS research, as finding a cure was Carmen's aspiration. The fund has raised more than $250,000 for the ALS Foundation. The Peter Wong Foundation was started by Peter's family and offers a scholarship to help disadvantaged students and makes charitable donations to organizations Peter supported. 20 MSD students would also start Never Again MSD, an organization that staged marches in the months following the massacre, calling for changes in gun law legislation to prevent shootings in the future. Nikolas Cruz's actions on the 14th of February 2018 would ultimately shape the lives of many, many people, as he created suffering that would sweep through the community for years to come. This is what makes the legal verdict frustrating, because it seems to suggest that Nikolas's own trauma excuses the trauma he created. The Parkland shooting case shows us humanity at its best and its ugliest. For the network of people affected by this terrible event, hopefully Nikolas's life sentence and the good that continues to come from survivors' activism can help to console the bitter conclusion of this case. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel for more true crime documentaries.